Inspired by the show Mr. and Mrs. Smith, based on the movie of the same name, in this video, I want to go over a couple of gadgets/tools and skills to be more like a real spy. Before I begin, if you enjoy this type of content, make sure to like and subscribe. Watch me stream, usually Tuesdays to Thursdays, 12:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. EST or UTC5. Join my Discord server for updates and to ask suggestions for new videos, and hit the join button for $2.99 a month. The first gadget is a cell phone, which I think is the most spy-like tool that is used by most people. There are like 3 ways to go about it. First, a regular phone, meaning you can call, you can text, and you can probably play Snake. This gives you a tool that cannot be easily tracked, especially if you go for one without any Wi-Fi or GPS or anything fancy-pantsy. You would pay with cash or gift cards purchased with cash to not leave any information about yourself, like a debit or credit card attached to an account. It's relatively cheaper, like a track phone flip phone, though you would have to do your own research on the specific prices and potential pros and cons of the phone that you want. It is still able to be tracked with certain tools, though as far as I can tell from my limited research, it doesn't necessarily pinpoint your exact location, but more so with a mixture of social engineering, using context clues like background noises, along with logs stored by a cell tower or a stingray. They're able to piece your general location, but that is kind of the point where you throw the phone away once you're done using it. The other option is a smartphone, which, besides the basics of a cell phone, is obviously fucking amazing. I don't really need to tell you how great it is, though I think some people may forget because we're so used to it. But it allows you to learn pretty much anything on the internet, record shit, watch stuff, listen to stuff. It's fucking great. And you can reduce some of the tracking by using incognito mode, so if somebody opens up your browser, there's no history on it. Using a VPN to cover from your ISP. And while the information is being gathered by the company that owns the phone, like for example Apple, unless in very serious scenarios that are usually from crimes, they will not hand your information over to anyone with authority. The third option is kind of a mixture of the two. It is basically creating your very own type of cell phone, like the Freedom Phone. There's a video by Mutahar on it, where it has the best of both worlds in terms of not really being tracked or watched, but it also has limited capabilities. But if you really want a smartphone, that can also be a good option. As an accessory to the cell phone are wireless headphones. Go for something dark, like in black or navy blue, to not be as obvious, and get ones that are relatively cheap. In case they get lost or get damaged, you can easily replace them. The wireless headphones not only make you feel like an old school spy with a receiver in your ear, but unlike in Casino Royale, where James Bond gets caught because there's something coming out of his ear by one of the villain's henchmen, in this modern day and age, having a wireless earphone in your ear is super common. The first skill is breathing, which, little spoiler ahead, other John mentions to our John and Jane as the way of handling any scenario or situation. While they laugh it off, Donald Glover's John is seen doing meditation and yoga, both of which uses a form of controlled breathing. There is also studies that do show that controlled breathing can slow your heart rate down, help you feel less anxious, and have a myriad of other benefits. A good one to start off with in a tense scenario may be something like the box breathing method, which is just a cycle of a long inhale, pause, long exhale, pause, and then you repeat the entire cycle with about 4 seconds for each of the phases. The second gadget is a watch. Not super necessary, and mainly for the aesthetic look, with many famous spies like James Bond rocking very nice ones, like a Rolex Submariner, an Omega Seamaster, Psycho Divers, etc. 2 nice options are the Casio Duro in black, which has a similar look to Submariner for like $50. It has 200 meters of water resistance, illumination on the hand and where the times are on a rubber strap. Another option is a G-Shock, maybe something like a Casio, which looks like an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. It's solid, waterproof, digital, though it may also have analog features as well, with a timer and a bunch of other functions. As for actual uses, besides being a faster way of telling the time than pulling out your phone, is you have to be a little creative, where the watch may help you in a survival scenario, like being used as a compass, a reflector, a fire starter, etc. A lot of which will depend on the type of watch you buy and by learning about how to do them from different videos and articles. Second skill is exercise. To keep up with potential enemies, whether you're running away or towards them, and win potential fights, being fit is a necessity. I made several videos on exercises based off of superheroes and some villains, but a starting point that I feel best fits the spy vibe is a workout from the 100 Deadly Skills by Clint Emerson. It's a very simple one, with a minute of heavy bag work, then a half-mile sprint, then 1 minute of ground and pound with the heavy bag, another half-mile sprint, then a bear hug carry with the heavy bag, and finally, another half-mile sprint. It's a heavy endurance-based workout with a little bit of fighting from the strikes and some strength training like carrying the heavy bag. Endurance is a very big part of being in a fight, so this is a great one to start with. However, strength training will also become necessary, and so will other exercises and other training methods. Third gadget is a multi-tool, which lets you have a better chance of improvising in the case of the watch and in general. It doesn't really matter which type you have, it can be a cheap knockoff or a legitimate one like a Swiss Army knife or a Leatherman. Nothing too crazy is needed because you're not really a spy unless you want to become one somehow. As such, you probably will never use it to its full capacity, so go for a mid-tier one. Third skill is mobility. Again, returning back to John practicing yoga, mobility is a nice addition to the exercise with some crossover. The purpose would be to prevent any potential injuries or pains from one's lifestyle and potentially alleviate ones caused by being a spy. Yoga is a nice start, though it would be nice to add some light weight as well, for example using light weights for shoulder rotations. The fourth gadget is a weapon, kind of a broad term, and the reason for it being vague is that it depends on the scenario at hand. Also, they should only be used for self-defense purposes. Firearms, for example, are really great, but can have a lot of legal issues from misuse or even from correct use. And comparatively, something like a non-lethal weapon such as pepper spray would be better in terms of facing the law. However, pepper spray would be kind of negative in a small closed room, just like a knife would be if you were too far from the opponents. Fourth skill is learning. Going back to the phone, it gives you a way to learn on the go and at home, though you can use the computer instead. Keeping up to date with the news, learning new skills to be more valuable in espionage, are some things that a spy would most likely do. Skills such as being multilingual, proficiency in computers, finance, law, medicine, and so much more. So continuing to learn is very valuable. As for how, I have a video on the specifics including learning techniques, but some basics would be like gamification, like using Duolingo, which besides having a really cool Instagram account, is a fun way to get interested in learning a language. Is it the best option? Probably not, but again, it's a start, along with taking notes and trying to explain the concept to another person or to nobody as a learning technique. The fifth isn't really a gadget, but more like a tool, which is cash. Cash is king, at least in terms of being a spy. It's harder to track, as such you want to carry a good amount with you. Keep it in small denominations like 20s, as some places may refuse hundreds and even 50s. While you can't purchase super expensive shit, day-to-day necessities should be covered. Even better is to pair this with something like gift cards, which should be paid with cash like I mentioned earlier in the video. Even with the slight loss in cash from purchasing the gift card, it gives you the option to buy larger things. The fifth skill is pain tolerance. In one of the episodes, you see John getting his ass beat on like a Swiss Alp or something, and he does get injuries throughout the show. And while something serious like that may not happen to you, pain does exist in many different forms, and being somewhat comfortable is a good thing to have so you can push through it. I've made a video on this as well which you can check out, but some basics include controlling your breathing, as shown how Lamaze breathing can help during pregnancy in reducing pain, exposure to some pain, like getting hit in the stomach at like 50% force, to become comfortable with it in a fight. And of course, a short-term option like having over-the-counter painkillers on you at all times in case of a serious situation. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Watch me stream Tuesdays to Thursdays, 12:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. EST or UTC5. Join my Discord server for updates and to add suggestions for new videos, and hit the join button for $2.99 a month.